What's up, lads? You're with Budget Monkey, and welcome to a new video. Check out that cute Trebizond. We actually migrated away, as obviously this is your starting province as a one-province miner, and I went for the achievement on very hard difficulty of the Comino Empire, which is to become Empire Government rank, which requires over 75 prestige and over 1,000 development or more to become Empire Government rank. I one-shot this on very hard difficulty, which I'm pretty proud of because it's a really hard patch. This is a really hard patch, and in fact, I was quite intimidated to play Trebizond as the Ottomans are just simply so powerful. I was unable to bust out any kind of gimmick, any kind of crazy starting strategy to defeat the Ottomans, and that's part of the reason that we have migrated, as you can see. At their peak, I think the Ottomans had almost 700,000 troops, guys. In fact, at one stage, you can see we've taken L's to them. At one stage, I actually thought that they were going to insta-gimp my entire army, my entire force, as they were going to outnumber us 10 to 1. So pretty cute Trebizond here. We reached 1,000 dev, and I wanted to go do a sort of retrospective, and I thought this was, maybe you guys could give me your feedback, and we could analyze our games afterwards here. So if I go on a bit of a run here, achieving various achievements and playing different nations, I could give a rundown as to my thoughts and things that I think will really be effective for you if you were to play the same nation and have a similar run. So I just want to throw it out there that we are Orthodox, so we are still Trebizond in name, in namesake, and by religion, but in every other sense, we are not Trebizond. Being an OPM, guys, I thought it was really easy in the early game to cultural shift, and I actually chose to do Caucasian. At the time, we're Circassian primary culture, believe it or not. At the time, it seemed reasonable, and maybe if I could have just held on, we could have flipped to Persian, like Azerbaijani, and that would have been a lot better. But you can see now that I only have a few Caucasian provinces as it is. But yeah, we ended up losing Trebizond, as I'll explain, and actually abandoning the Pontic group, as it's just not simply worth a culture slot. So that's what my accepted cultures look like. I manually accepted a lot of these. So if we go on the timeline here, initially what I had planned to do was to try to look as strong as possible, and it's a pretty strong start. Samsky is just free for the taking. Unfortunately, on very hard, they have about 8 regiments, and you have to fight them in the mountains for the most part, so it can be pretty obnoxious. A nice little trick to defeat them is to gain military access from literally anybody, to walk into that land, and then declare war on Samsky, which will basically compel him to walk into Trebizond, and you can take a defensive battle in your capital when your exiled units come back over and take the engagement. So that's a great way to do these initial wars and get an advantage over your opponent. You do need 9k to siege down what is his starting capital, though, a rank 3 fort, and I think your force limit is like 6 or something like that, so you are going to have economic issues from the very onset of the game. What I had planned to do is release subjects around this region. Armenia has a core in these 3 provinces, so I wanted to do it in a particular way so I could release all 3 nations. The plan was to release Armenia from Samsky, and then to release Samsky from Imereti, and during that war against Imereti to compel Georgia to go in against Imereti so that I could take 2 provinces, releasing Armenia from Samsky, Samsky and Imereti from the Imereti War, while the rest goes to Georgia, which we could then consolidate under our own territory, annexing this myself. And it went kind of as intended. You can see Armenia there, Samsky, these are to my 2 vassals. I took a province prepped to release Imereti. The problem is, though, that QQ went in here nice and early, so as it happens, I did do exactly that, full annexing Circassia. We've got our 3 vassals here. Georgia is independent and my own territory. Problem is that QQ is really strong. So what I had intended to do from here is ally the Orthodad. Obviously, Muscovy is a powerful nation, and they always flip friendly with Orthodox nations, it seems. It's just a matter of time. And I had planned to do exactly this and expand into the Great Horde while promising him, or even for favors, getting help from Muscovy. He ended up guaranteeing the Great Horde for most of the run. Typical. This patch is just terrible. And it's around this time, guys, it's been 10 years into the game, that the Ottomans are potentially going to make a claim on you. In order to actually get their mission, which gives them permaclaim on Trebizond, they have to come all the way down to here. So you've got quite some time before you have to worry about that. But they will manually claim on you if they are a militaristic leader type, ruler, which they often will be. And if they make a claim on you, what I suggest you do is sell them the province. It took me a long time. He had a passive government type or personality type, and it took him a long time for that to happen in my game, which was really cool. But I did move my capital over to the Persian region so that I am able to basically sell Trebizond, because the very hard AI Ottomans, guys, it can hate you if it's bordering you. They desire your provinces. But the key to the Trebizond run is to not allow them to have casus belli if it's within your control. So, like I said, he comes all the way down to here to pass his mission, which gives him permanent claim here. Just sell him the province. That is my advice. It's pretty funny. It's a migration strategy, but you can see I was able to overcome QQ. We out-teched them, and basically I ended up attacking them and just turtling up in my mountains. Remember that right now we have mountains, hills, I think, terrain to take battles on. So I was also able to ally Genoa, which is a liability, but Genoa was allied to the Emperor remaining inside the HRE and France. So he actually wasn't going to go anywhere in terms of the Ottomans attacking him anytime soon. And therefore, I have sort of Italian bordering privilege in the sense of spreading institutions. So I was able to out-tech the people out east quite nicely, and that's how we ultimately overcame QQ, is by attacking him, just taking battles and defending our mountains with superior technology, and that compelled the Mamelukes to actually attack them, which just made it really, really easy. From there, we're basically obviously just picking off whoever and whatever we can, hopefully with a tech advantage. I was, because it's just a humble achievement run, able to take a golden era and that sort of thing, and it was actually a really fun time. You can see I did sell my capital, my old capital, to the Ottomans in order to eliminate that casus belli that he had, because if he attacks you for the province, he's going to take much more than just the one province, guys. And the rest is history. It was a really hard pill to swallow, but the good news is that if this happens to you, you can manage. I did lose a war, a 100% L to the Ottomans, because we got that Cossack event giving him border friction. And it was a really hard pill to swallow because I was incredibly poor. I can't emphasize enough how poor I was, guys, with, the trade in the Crimean region just being absolute rubbish. Very little control in Aristakhan. And I was basically relocating over to Persia and collecting in Persia, whilst at some stages I couldn't even discover the paths to pull into Persia, and our retention wasn't great in Persia. I did end up playing very tall and developing my way to achieve the achievement, and the economy really started to kick off about 100 years into the game, but boy, were we incredibly poor. So really suffering financially and then taking a huge L to the Ottomans, it was super demoralizing. I was also spending my prestige actually abandoning my cause because I had no realistic likelihood of ever actually reconquesting the Ottomans, and you lose a lot of yearly prestige from uncontested cause. And one of the issues I was actually having was getting my prestige up to 75 to accept the empire government rank. But we were also warned by the Ottomans, so that's something to be aware of, is a nation like Ajam. I was so much more powerful than them, but we were having trouble getting into that nation freely. And we were also managing our aggressive expansion with the Ottomans, because if we went over 50, we were just dead. So we humbly just picked away at land and developed our way to success. Pretty cool, pretty interesting run. I think this migration strategy of actually just having a war-based economy, just an absolute bankrupt nation, basically spending admin, which you don't want to do, paying off loans. As long as you can hang in, you have some kind of base of strength, you can overcome these nations around Persia, Iran, where things are quite hotly contested and there's a lot of nations. If the Timurids go down, I think this is totally viable as long as you have enough provinces to develop, then you're going to be able to reach that 1,000 development mark. We went defensive, espionage, economic, and quality this game, and that's about that, guys. So next up, I actually wanted to get the achievement as Navarra because I want an excuse to play Navarra, which is to convert the majority of the Iberian Peninsula to Basque culture. So that's what I'm going to be streaming over the next few days. I'm probably live right now after posting this video. Notice I'm wearing my Trebizond themed shirt, and yeah, let me know in the comments below if you're interested in these kind of breakdown, retrospective thoughts on runs and achievements, and giving some tips as to how you could go about achieving that yourself. Like I said, I think this is totally plausible. Selling land and just suffering until you can get some economy through development and ideas and so on. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in another video, or I'll see you live over on Twitch.